welcome to Something to Talk About. I'm Linda McNamee, and summertime is right around the corner, and when you think of summertime, you think of the 4th of July parade. So we are getting ready for the parade already, and we're going to talk tonight about how you can prepare for the parade and even participate. So stay tuned, but as always, I want to go through a few little housekeeping issues. If you would like to email me to suggest a future topic, or if you have a question about something else, you can always email me at talk@bcattv.org. I would like to thank my crew for this evening, Chris Flaherty, who is one of the staff members here, make sure that us volunteers keep everything working, and he just makes sure that everything goes smoothly. So thank you, Chris. And for volunteers this evening, we have Christina Nikitas and Gwyneth McNamee, who have given up their Wednesday evenings to come and hang out at BCAT. We're kind of short-staffed because of all those extracurricular activities. So anyway, and last but definitely not least, I want to thank my husband, Paul, who is not home for daddy date night. He's over with child number 2, making sure child number 2 does everything he's supposed to do, but just not at home. So my wonderful guest, whom you probably recognize, Nick Priest, who is the parade committee chair. Are you running solo this year? Are you still co-chair?
So we haven't done any official new votes.
Okay.
But so I still say that I'm co-chair.
Okay.
With Mike Runyon, but Mike has been taking a step back.
Okay.
As he's getting used to retirement.
Retirement? What's that?
Right. Hopefully I'll see that someday. Hopefully we all will. But no, we have a wonderful committee full of wonderful people helping us. So
great. Well, before we get into the whole parade thing, for people who might not know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, how you came to the Burlington area, and what made you get involved in the parade among all the other hats that you get to wear?
Yeah, absolutely. Like a weed, I've been here since the dawn of time, and I refuse to go away.
That works.
Right. No, I grew up here and now live a stone's throw from where I grew up, my parents' house.
Okay.
With my wife and our 4 kids. We were away for a little bit, but came back. I mean, as a lot of folks have said over the years, Burlington is a great place to be. It's a great place to raise a family. And so, we bought our house in 2011.
Okay.
And as the kids started to grow, and as we started to really put down our own roots, into the community, we wanted to find ways to get involved. And so, of course, I found myself on the select board.
Gee, how'd that happen?
Because you just dive right in, right?
Go big or go home.
Right.
Oh wait, you are home.
And my wife's been getting involved in different committees and PTO and all kinds of great stuff. And back in, I want to say 2018, Mike Runyon was looking for volunteers for the parade committee. And, I had such fond memories of the parade growing up as a kid. I know a lot of folks, who grew up in town who are still here do. And I said, well, gosh, if you're having a hard time getting volunteers, then, I should be getting involved, right? I want to make sure that, the kids of Burlington of today have the same, experiences and get to carry those memories forward too. Because I think the parade is a wonderful community builder.
Oh, absolutely.
It brings everybody together, it brings everybody out, and it's a great time, so.
Excellent. So you've been involved since 2018.
I want to say 2018, yeah.
Which is like 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned your wonderful committee.
Yes.
Tell me about how big the committee is, what the committee does, those other duties as assigned type things.
Absolutely, yeah. So of course you think a parade committee, right? Well, these folks must be wrangling people day of to get them to walk down the street, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like 1% of our job.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So on the committee right now, we have as primary core members who have really been working hard, Christine Kelly Kim, Nicole Dupuy, myself, Mike Runyon, obviously, and Jeff DeBona. You know, we have other members, John LaFosse, who actually isn't even from Burlington, lives in Billerica. You may see his trucks. He has a tiling business. And he actually runs a parade in Billerica. He runs their December parade in Billerica. And so,
do they do like a fall festival thing too?
I think he might, yeah.
Okay.
And you know, he saw an opportunity to come help us because he loves parades, and you know, we had a lot of crosstalk, but you know, those are kind of the core folks. So you know, last year we chose to establish ourselves as a nonprofit organization.
Oh, okay.
Because we saw the opportunity to kind of go after grants and you know, really establish ourselves from that perspective. Christine Kelly Kim is our treasurer, and she does a wonderful job. You know, keep us in line from a budget perspective. You know, which is crucial.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Because we're working with, you know, obviously a small amount of dollars, and you know, it has to be spent wisely, and on a variety of things. Among other duties, you know, Jeff really helps us tackle, you know, making sure that, you know, we've got our Legion connection, that, you know, we have signage. You know, he's extremely talented, and you know, really helps out. And Nicole has really taken the forefront in our fundraising and sponsorship donation avenue, which is really one of the hardest things to grow, especially since this is, you know, post-pandemic. And so, you know, we're really tackling things on multiple fronts. In fact, last Sunday we had our first really big fundraiser, which is our cornhole tournament.
Oh, okay.
Raised a few bucks there. Had a bunch of folks come out. It's a great time. Obviously, the rain tried to really hinder us, but we made it work, right? Because you make the best of any kind of.
So Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Last Sunday.
Okay. I remember Saturday being really rainy, but I don't remember what Sunday was like.
It was pouring.
That's probably why.
Pouring all day.
I just hid in my basement or something.
Right.
I don't know.
And you know, as anyone would, right? Why go out when it's you know, downpouring out? You know, but the committee has really come together.
Okay.
Because over the course of the year, it's our job to, you know, inform folks about the parade, let them know that we are resident run.
Okay.
Right. So this is not something that the town itself runs.
Okay.
The town, through Town Main, does help us fund it.
Okay.
But there's no formal town-owned committee. Meaning this committee.
So it's not like the school committee. It's your own little.
So in a town-run committee, you would see this, you know, parade committee reporting to the select board, or reporting to town meeting, and you know, possibility.
So you don't have to report to anyone.
We are resident run. So it just so happens that in the last, call it, 15 years, we've managed to have a select board member on the committee.
Oh, okay.
Which always works to your benefit when you're trying to, you know, get a hold of the town for things. But
well, also just knowing the ins and outs of what you have to do. Like, wait, I need a police detail?
Right, exactly. And so, you know, so we get the word out there. You know, we're calling businesses, you know, looking for sponsorships to help raise funds, because every dollar that comes into, you know, our coffers gets put right back into the parade.
Okay.
Right, and of course
the whole nonprofit thing, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Right. And so, you know, we have obviously dollars for, you know, police details and for custodial staff, and, you know, for certain ancillaries that, you know, help us, you know, run the logistics. But then, of course, the majority of our dollars goes towards, you know, bringing in participants. Okay. Right. So when you see the Patriots cheerleaders, when you see,
they don't do that out of their goodness of their hearts.
No, but the dollars do go back to the Kraft Foundation.
Okay.
Right. So again, charity giving to charity.
Okay.
You know, but then of course, other bands, right? They're taking time out of their day. Odds are they've got multiple parades lined up in the day, and so, you know, we make that work. The Shriners. You know, so all those dollars get put back into making the parade bigger, longer, more fun and entertaining.
Well, like the Shriners, they usually have those little go-karts. So you got to pay for them. They have to pay for the maintenance and the transportation and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And really, again, like, we're not talking about, you know, $30,000 for one performer.
They're not making a profit. Those performers aren't really making a profit either.
What they're asking for is to cover their expenses.
Okay.
Right. Make sure that the you know, gas is paid for, that wear and tear is, you know, handled, that the time is, all taken care of. So, it's all very collaborative. It's all, very, for folks who come back, it's very systematic.
Okay.
Folks will reach out to us. Hey, you guys are doing the parade again. We're like, absolutely. Pencil us in.
How early does that start? Like July 5th?
Well, I tell you, for some folks, it starts on July 4th for the following year.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right. Yeah. So like,
I did it today.
We'll talk. Yeah. So when the Shriners roll in, in a few weeks, they're going to say, hey, you guys are doing it again next year. We're like, yep, pencil us in. Right. And then some folks, will give us a ring in January, February, somewhere in there. But that's when we start also doing our outreach, right? Okay. So it's fundraising for the entirety of the year, but then our participant outreach for our mainstays begins in February.
Okay.
But really throughout the year, we're also keeping our eyes open for new, folks to join us.
How do you find out about like new performers or new marching organizations?
Yeah, you'd be surprised at how much of it's word of mouth.
Okay.
Right. We also, look at other local parades that might not be at the same time as us, right? Because again, there's a lot of that give and take, right? So like I think a great example is the
is it Wilmington?
The Waltham Legion Band.
Oh, okay.
So the Waltham Legion Band comes to us, for our 11 a.m. parade.
Okay.
And then they, when the parade ends, hop on the highway and head over to, I want to say maybe it's Wakefield. They head to another town.
Okay.
To do a 2 o'clock parade.
Wow.
Right,
okay.
or a 3 o'clock parade, whatever it is. So like they're hitting multiple parades in a given day.
Okay.
And that's how we kind of coordinate and we kind of feed off of each other. So
that means our parade is never going to change start times because it'll mess up like all of Eastern Massachusetts.
It very well could, or we just lose a whole bunch of good folks, and we don't want that.
I don't want that. How many, actually a couple of questions. Let's go back to the committee. How much of a turnover is there in that committee? Is it, I know you mentioned there's the same core of 5-ish.
Yeah.
But is there a lot of turnover? Are there people that like?
So I would say that, before the pandemic, it was a different crew. Okay. And then, as we kind of got into the pandemic, a lot of folks stepped back from a lot of things, and we lost a lot of really great people. And so coming out of the pandemic was a lot of rebuilding.
Okay.
And so, me and Mike, really worked hard to, dupe some people into helping us. Again, people, they see something, they don't want to lose it, right? They see how great it is, and they come and they help. And so, we've had this crew as is for a few years now.
Okay.
This has been our core crew for, 4 or 5 years, I would say. And what's great about this year in particular is that we've had a lot of opportunity in terms of the awareness space, getting ourselves out there to talk to folks with our volunteer sheet.
Yeah, you guys were at the elections.
The election,
in
yeah.
April?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We were. Amy said that we could come and do our thing.
Love Amy.
She's the best.
Another conversation.
And she said yes. And so we showed up with all of our stuff, and we were there. And folks were like, "Hey, what's going on?" And we'd explain, because again, a lot of folks don't know, number one, that we're resident run.
Okay.
They assume that the town runs it.
Okay.
Right. And so that's, I think, where the discrepancy in the dollars is that when you assume that your tax dollars is going to the parade, then you're like, well, why do I need to donate to it?
Right.
And so in this case, it's like, no, your tax dollars aren't going to this. Please donate. And then, from a volunteer basis, folks were like, well, you know what? Yeah, I can help you fundraise, right? We had it broken down. We said, where can you help, right?
Okay.
Because I think, again, everyone's really busy. For a million different reasons.
Exactly.
And so we say, look.
And it's always the same people who volunteer for everything.
Well, that's what winds up happening, right? Is that you kind of get this core group of people that you see, familiar faces over and over again. And, when you meet new people, you say, look, like, we're not asking for a huge commitment. Give us as much time as you can.
Right.
Right. Or, we can work together to figure out how much time makes the most sense for you right now.
Okay.
No pressure. Right, because we need the help, we need the hands, but we don't need 30 people at everything, right? But we do need, a couple extra folks making phone calls for participants, or for doing some sponsorship work or some fundraising work or whatever it might be.
Okay.
And those extra hands at those given moments in time, that's what really helps.
Okay. So if you were to volunteer and participate in that committee, you aren't necessarily obliged to be at the parade itself.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. You can help from July 5th all the way around to July 3rd and be away on the 4th. You know, you could be away for those 2 weeks, right? You could be away different parts of the year and want to be there on the day of, right? You know, we can slice it any which way it makes sense for folks, because
so many hands do make light work.
Many hands do make light work, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
What kind of feedback do you get either at this year's parade for next year or throughout the year? So where does that communication fall or lie with trying to improve?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, we often hear things through word of mouth.
Okay.
Again, you know, despite how big Burlington is, we are still a very small community. You know, and word of mouth gets around very quickly. You know, and look, it's not like folks don't know how to get a hold of, you know, people. It's like, oh, well, I know so and so, you know, knows Nick. You know, let me message him on Facebook, right? Or give him a phone call or text or whatever. And we're happy when folks do those kinds of things, right? Reach out to us, please.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, but folks will reach out. I mean, again, starting day of, right? If something's going wrong day of, we know about it. Our phones are blowing up. You know, hey, there's a gap in the parade. What's going on, right? Someone's spraining their ankle. Hang on a minute. You know, we're working on it.
It's raining. Make it stop.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Right.
Some things are out of your control.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, but you know, we say to folks, you know, call, text, email. You know, you always go to our website and get our email.
Okay.
You know, you can you know, go to our Facebook page and, you know, leave a message or you know, anything of that to that effect. If you know us personally, reach out to any one of us and we collect that feedback.
Show up at your door at 3 a.m.
Right.
No. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. No.
Yeah. If I'm answering my door at 3 a.m., run.
Yeah. You better be. Yeah.
But you know, it's important that we hear the feedback, good, bad, or indifferent, because that's what helps us grow the parade. Hey, how come you know, this you know, group wasn't in the parade this year? We really missed having them. You know, or I remember you know, the guy who used to bring the Batmobile from the Batman TV show, right? And you know, I think he had, I may be speaking out of turn, but I think he may have sold it. You know, and of course then he obviously doesn't have it anymore. You know, but like the year that it wasn't there, everybody was like, "Where's the Batmobile?"
Yeah.
Right. So you know, of course, there are those very visceral reactions to things. You know, but it's important for us to hear those things, so we can then work to make sure that we are building the parade in a way that folks want to come and see it. That folks are curious to see what we're bringing this year.
We need a new Batmobile.
Right? Yeah. If anybody knows you got a Batmobile of any year type, you know, give us a call. I don't care what movie it's from.
There you go. Maybe, you know, those new Tesla SUVs. They kind of look like you can paint it black.
Right.
And it looks very stealth.
It's a unique looking vehicle for sure.
That it is.
For sure.
Okay, so Batmobile, anything. Are there new groups that you know of that are new this year?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of who.
Okay.
But yes, there are a few new groups joining us this year, which is wonderful.
So people are just going to have to show up and find out what's new.
That's right. I'm gonna keep it a mystery because my brain is not firing on all cylinders.
That's okay. Synapses just okay. Anybody that you know of that has chosen, other than the Batmobile, has chosen not to return for whatever reason?
No, not usually. You know, folks that you know, regularly frequent our parade as participants, you know, typically are back again the next year,
Okay.
which is great to see, right? Because that means that the performers are having a good time. They enjoy the route. They enjoy the crowd, right? They
I
feel
like the fact that it's a very flat route.
it's a flat route, right? As flat as what makes sense. That people enjoy themselves. That people who are community members, right? So like, let's take performers out of it for a second, and just say people who are like, you know what? Yeah, we'll be in the parade, right? We look at the Boy Scouts,
Exactly.
right? We look at you and BCAT, right? We love having you guys, right? Because
Good, because you're stuck with me.
Absolutely. but a big piece of the parade that I don't want folks to forget about it is that it isn't a walking carnival, right?
Okay.
Is that it is made up in part by the community that makes up our community, right? So when you see BCAT, right, when you see the Boy Scouts, when you see a whole bunch of flowers or whoever is rolling on the street, we are taking time out of our holiday to help bring this to the rest of the community to celebrate together.
Just bring everybody together.
Yeah.
Whatever side you happen to be on. So.
Regardless of anything, right? In that moment in time.
I mean side meaning you're driving or you're watching.
Exactly, right, exactly. No matter how you're involved, right? With everything else taken out of the equation, we are all doing this for each other. And I think for me, that's one of the most beautiful things about a parade.
It's pretty cool.
Right? Is that I mean, cool. to be able to be in the parade and see people to be on the sidelines and see people in the parade. I know, oh my God, it's so good. Oh my gosh. I mean, how many times because the select board, we walk in the parade too.
Okay.
To be walking in the parade and to jump out of the parade and hug someone I haven't seen in almost a year.
Yeah.
Right? Or to, go over and shake someone's hand, who, helped me with whatever. Okay. It's just, I mean, it's that community connection.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'll say this, right? So last year, right?
Yes.
We know how lousy the weather was, right?
Yes, we do.
It rained all morning on us.
Yes,
Setup
it did.
was miserable.
Yes, it was.
Right. We were just joking as a committee a couple days ago about this, how we had our lineups, right, all printed out, and within a matter of a half an hour, it was, mush in our hands, and we're like, okay, let's get on our phones and then keep going. And of course, the weather held for the walk, right? It wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Right. But the entire morning, as we're directing cars and floats and the police are shutting down the road to help, everything's happening, right? I mean, because the starting line could be a little chaotic, right?
Well, last year was an exception because everybody was like, I'm melting.
Right, everyone was very consolidated in their cars, their floats, right?
And like trying to get, But
right.
In the past, it has been like, I know it wasn't last year, but I don't remember what year it was. You had like on the street, if you are in group A, line up here. If you are in group B, line up here. So it was easier when you showed up.
Yep.
That you kind of like knew at least the general vicinity to aim for.
Right.
And then there was a committee member saying, okay, you are in group A, but you're the third in line. So,
right.
And the other two are small or they're big because they have a float or whatever. So.
Yeah. And so even with that, right, I think there's so much going on, right? But the whole morning I'm thinking to myself, it's pouring out.
Yes.
No one's coming. We're going to walk down the road.
Not see anybody.
And we're going to see like two guys in ponchos with their dog, right? Like no one's going to be out. And it was so wonderful. And it just fills your heart when the street is just lined with people in lousy weather there to see the parade. You can't beat that.
No.
You can't.
No. Because I would not be one of those people sitting on the side. I'm like, nope, too bad, I'm staying home. But, I had a rain plan. It didn't quite work out the way I wanted to, so I have a better rain plan for this year, which means we're not going to need it.
There you go.
So.
We are praying for nothing but the best weather.
Exactly. Okay. I'm like, the route is the same.
The route is the same.
Route is the same. Marching in the parade. How's the lineup determined? Oh, wait, before we talk about lineup.
Yes.
We talked about road closures.
Road closures.
And we talked about the fact that because it's like a domino effect, we are starting, the parade kicks off at 11.
Mm-hmm.
When do the roads close when, and is it a staggered thing, or is it just like, okay, the road's shut down?
Great question.
How does that happen?
So
that takes a genius in logistics itself.
And the Burlington Police Department this year, we have Sergeant Peter Bascaroon helping us. Wonderful, individual and incredibly helpful. He and I sat down just the other day to really walk through the whole shebang, right? And we start road closures at 9:30.
Okay.
And we work them the parade route in almost a chronological fashion.
Okay.
Meaning we have to close down the starting line first.
Right.
Because that's where everyone's starting to gather.
Right.
And then between 9:30 and 10, we start closing all the main roads.
Okay.
And then all the side streets to make sure that we have a clear route. And then Sergeant Bascaroon and the officers on duty are, checking the route so that it's clear, that everything is secure, that we don't have folks not paying attention to the road closure and, breaking sawhorses or causing accidents.
Getting up, moving the saws.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And making sure that, everyone's safe. And then, we have multiple details lining the road. So, as you're there in your, annual spot, you might, see a police officer. They're there obviously for your protection and to make sure that folks aren't, trying to take a back road through somewhere.
Right.
Because they're trying to, get to where they're trying to get to.
Drive through parking lots, on sidewalks, whatever.
Right, exactly. And so it's a staggered rollout of road closures that allows us to get everything set up, allows folks to keep moving during that time as much as possible, but really by 10, everything is shut down, so that way we have enough runway,
okay,
in the literal sense, to get everybody lined up, right, and ready to rock and roll.
Speaking of road closures, how is that communicated with the general public? Is it available on the police website? Is it available on Facebook? Do all the different GPS programs know?
That's a good question.
I don't even know how that happens. But
Yeah, I've never so like Waze, for example. I've never bothered to look into if we could make a notification that says there's a road closure.
Right.
I assume a lot of that stuff is crowdsourced. So I have to assume as folks are hitting the road closures, if they have ways they're interacting with the application.
Okay. I have no idea how it's.
Yeah, we don't do any of that. From our seat as a committee, we do obviously post when we start posting about the day of.
Okay.
We start posting the logistics. So we're letting folks know via Facebook, via social media, on our website. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure day of the police department does do a social post to let folks know. We typically push the word out as far as possible, and again, we try to keep everything very consistent. That way, it becomes very familiar to folks. Right. Parades at 11, road closes at 9:30. I got it.
Yeah.
And that way, at least locals.
And if I want to get from here to there, I have to do it at this time, or I'm up a tree.
I tell you,
a paddle.
a couple weeks ago, I think Billerica and Tewksbury were both doing something, and I didn't know, and so I found myself taking multiple back roads to have to avoid it all, right? And look, I think this time of year, it's incumbent upon each of us, if we're going to be moving, especially day of, right? If you're in your car day of, check your local, towns, the towns in your surrounding area for if they've got a parade going on, right? Because it will affect your travel.
Yes,
There's
it will.
no doubt in my mind about that.
Yes, it will. Absolutely. Now, coming out of COVID, I know we were talking about fundraising. I'm sorry, I bounced it all over the place.
That's all right. Go for it.
When we were coming out of COVID, you and I were having the conversation where the parade committee went to the town to ask for supplemental funding because of the pandemic pretty much decimating everybody's bank account. How has that changed?
So not too much, unfortunately.
Okay.
So pre-pandemic, we were still asking the town for some dollars.
Okay.
It was less. It was around 10 to 15,000, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
And you know that additional dollars, plus what we were raising, mostly just from sponsorships, right, from the business community.
Okay.
You know, we were able to do the parade and fireworks.
Ah, yes.
Right. And as we started to come out of the pandemic and then come out of the pandemic, what we saw was a couple things, right? One, the costs of things started to go up. So fireworks exceedingly, rose, right? So fireworks, were going up and became kind of an unattainable thing for the dollars that we had.
Okay.
Businesses weren't able to give the way they were giving pre-pandemic, right? So now we're seeing a drop in sponsorships, right? And so
the whole law of supply and demand is just doing cartwheels.
Everything is all off kilter, right? So from the pandemic moving forward, we started asking town meeting for $20,000, and that money, our hope when we first started asking for that money was to say, look, this year, it's a transition year. Our hope is that we really rebound, and that we don't ask for $20,000 moving forward, right? But what we saw was that the effects of the pandemic are still very much with us from an economic standpoint,
right?
And that businesses are still having a hard time adjusting, because what you're seeing is a lot of the hybrid work from home model really stick, which takes a big amount of the daytime population away, right? Which then affects all the businesses that were relying
restaurants
on that,
have
right?
to
Yeah,
close
so you
down,
see
there's no lunch crowd anymore.
Retail, right? You see, urgent care centers. You see anybody, vision, lens eyeglasses, all these places that folks could pop out at lunch or pop out during the day to utilize, right? That population is mostly gone in a given week, right? And so businesses are saying, look, we love the parade, but we can't give as much, or we can't give as much, right? We used to give this much, now we don't give this much. We completely understand and appreciate that. So I think what's great about having the committee as a nonprofit is that we're really producing a budget, we're really producing numbers, we're really seeing we're now beginning to be able to see patterns and trends.
Okay.
So that way, as we go back to town meetings, we go to Ways and Means, and we say, look, we need $20,000 again this year. It isn't because we're mismanaging funds.
Right.
It's because the dollars aren't there from a sponsorship standpoint, right? And so, that's why the awareness factor and the fundraising factor are now a huge component of the committee, because we know that if the businesses aren't able to give as much, that if we can start asking the residents to pitch in, right, that we can really see a turnaround, right? I mean, think of it this way, right? If there are roughly 8,000 single-family homes in Burlington, right? If every home gave us $1, we'd have $8,000, right?
That's true.
If every house gave us $10, right, we would be able to fund the parade 3 times over. So it's
get one firework.
Well, I mean, we'd actually be able to get full fireworks.
Oh, okay.
Right, and so that's how quickly our financial situation can improve.
Okay.
Right, now we know that residents are just as constrained as businesses, right? We're all feeling the effects. Right. But when we say, oh, it's just $10, right? Oh, it's just $5, right?
$1 a month.
Across the entire community.
Yeah.
It makes an immense difference, right? So the more that we can get that message out there, the more that we can tell folks, that every little bit does go a long way, is huge.
Oh my gosh, I'm having flashbacks to when I worked for a PBS member station in Pledge Drive.
Yeah.
Ugh, scary.
And for just 5 cents a day, you too can support this little firework.
Actually, a friend of mine grew up in Plymouth, and they always asked businesses to sponsor a firework. And her parents owned their own business, so during college we were down there looking at the fireworks display, and we're like, Yeah, we like that one. That's the one that my dad bought.
That's the one,
you know?
right. That's the guy.
No idea. It's like, no, I like that one. Okay, that's the one.
Right.
Ooh, but that one's nicer. Maybe you bought that. So no fireworks this year?
No, unfortunately.
Not for 4th of July.
Nope. I believe Celebrate Burlington will still have fireworks.
Okay.
And that, Parks and Rec does a wonderful job with.
Yes, they do.
But again, until we can get our dollars back up to a place where it makes sense to go for that, then we're taking a much more reserved approach. We're trying to get more folks involved in the actual parade itself.
Okay.
Because again, as much as we love fireworks, right, the dollar amount for said experience
the return on the investment.
Exactly.
Yeah. Especially on 4th of July, because I think we had this conversation a while ago, because there's such a demand.
Right.
And you need specially trained people and, all of that kind of stuff. And somebody's like, well, isn't it just the DPW guys lighting them off? I'm like,
not in the least.
No.
Not in the least, no.
No, you need, licenses and permits and
Yeah.
It's a little more complicated than that.
Just a skosh.
Just a little bit. Talked about road closures. I know I'm bouncing all over the place.
No, bounce, it's fine. I have no problem with that.
Parade lineup.
Yes.
How is that determined? And how often is it changed from year to year? Because we had talked earlier about, like this band is doing this parade, then our parade, and then that parade. So you kind of have to work that.
Yeah.
But then people like the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the show, we don't have any other commitments. So do you just kind of fill in the pieces?
What we do is we take index cards and we write down each of the participants, put on a big board.
Okay.
The committee blindfolds me, and then I take darts, and we just kind of.
Okay. I just figured, you maybe did the stair test where you have all those cards and you throw them down the stairs, and however they land,
then that's just how it goes.
That's the order.
No, we do take a lot into account.
Kind of like the dart thing.
I know, right? That's a lot more fun than what we do.
Maybe not blindfolded.
No, well, as long as everyone's out of the way. No, so what we do is we know the groups that are playing music, right? Sometimes a new group will come and not tell us they're playing music, and that will cause a day of change, right? But we really try to keep walkers away from big vehicles, right? Or behind heavy exhaust, right?
Okay.
And we try to make sure that the musical groups are spread out enough.
Not right next to each other.
Right. So that way, as folks are sitting there enjoying the parade, they can actually enjoy that band or, that experience, right? There's nothing worse than trying to hear the group that's right in front of you perform, and all you can hear is, a blaring song coming from the group behind.
Right.
Right. So that's a huge part of it. Who's walking, who's driving, the speed with which everyone drives, right?
That's going to be my next question.
It's a huge factor, right? So the last couple of years, we've managed to incur gaps in the parade.
Okay.
Which is confusing to people watching the parade because they see 6 groups go by and they look and there's nothing else. And they're like, is that the whole parade?
Are we done?
Right. And thankfully there are people on the route who know us who go, no, there's more. Hang on. Not sure what's going on, but hang on. And so we really have to. Those are learned experiences, right?
Okay.
And we work to tighten those things up. Where if we find a group or a vehicle is driving too fast, well then they wind up getting some walkers in front of them, right? And we learn to pace the whole thing, right? Now, granted, again, like we said, I've been doing this for 6 years, through a pandemic, right, with lots of change.
Yep.
And there are other towns that have been doing a very consistent parade for much longer with a much more stable committee, right? It's our goal to really turn this committee into a very stable, well-run group. Not to say we aren't well-run now, right? But I think as we grow through our learned experiences, we start to craft a very well-honed and well-oiled machine.
Right, and you're also working with not a lot of people. So those few people have to do a lot of work too.
Right. Yeah.
And if you get more people, then you can, say, do more fundraisers or get more sponsorships because there's more people helping out.
Exactly.
So speaking of fundraisers again, you
Yes.
mentioned that you recently did the cornhole, well, you meaning the committee,
Yeah.
recently held the cornhole tournament. Is that the only fundraiser you did? Are there others?
So that was our first big in-person fundraiser.
Okay.
A lot of our fundraising endeavors have been number one, focused on the sponsorships,
Okay.
right, and trying to secure folks from that perspective, as well as getting the word out around donations,
Okay.
right. So this was the first really big, focused fundraiser that we had done. Learned a lot, was cursed by the weather, but when have we not been lately?
I know, really.
And even despite the rain, it was still a great fundraiser, and one that I would absolutely do again next year, right? And the goal is to find fundraisers that we know are going to work,
Okay.
and that don't require a lot of upfront dollars, because obviously we don't want to find ourselves in a position where we can't even break even on that fundraiser, right? The goal is to raise those dollars. And then, again, as we grow, right, I think it's about finding ways where, you'd be surprised how far the little donations go, right? So we were there on election day, right, as we talked about. And again, we were allowed to have a donation bucket out.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We raised almost $400.
Wow.
Just sitting there talking about the parade. Okay.
And in town elections, where only 13% of the population votes, that's pretty impressive.
So, every little bit counts, right? And if sitting, outside the gym for a few hours on a Saturday, and that's us $400, well, that's fantastic, right? So, again, creating that awareness and getting folks involved, should allow us to kind of grow things.
Okay.
And, I have this grand vision.
Well, what's your grand vision? I love hearing this part.
Well, so, when I was a kid, right, the parade was just the parade, right?
Okay.
But there are folks in the community who remember the parade as being much more than just a parade, right?
Such
that
as?
there was pie eating contests.
Oh,
And there were bike decorating contests, and all these different kinds of things happening around the parade, right?
Okay.
And I think that we found that as great as the Common is as a location, right? It's hard to say, oh, now the parade's over, go to the Common.
Right.
Right, because folks are already committing their morning. Odds are is they have plans in the afternoon.
Right.
Right. So,
It's like a convenience thing.
Right.
Have something right there.
Right. Exactly. So, we've talked about it for a couple of years now, and it's a way, right? Like, this is not like a next year thing, but we'd love to start bringing those things back.
Okay.
Right. I think for the first time. You drive through, the Cambridge-Wynn Street intersection every darn day, right?
Right.
It's only when that the road is closed and there are no cars in that intersection and you're standing in the middle of it that you realize how truly big it is.
Yes.
Right?
I totally agree with
Yeah,
you.
it's huge.
Yeah.
And so, to take a step back and say, boy, oh boy, wouldn't it be great if we couldn't do some stuff in that space?
During the parade?
Well, so the parade doesn't walk through all of it,
Well, that's true.
right?
Okay.
So we come up 3A and then we turn onto Wynn.
Yes.
And there's a massive chunk of 3A that remains unutilized,
That's true.
right? But, if we had station for pie eating contest that was being run, like if we had volunteers to help us do those
you could
things.
have a donut eating contest.
If Dunkin' Donuts wanted to do that, we would absolutely, right? I mean, those kinds of things
How
are on
many
the table.
munchkins can you fit in your mouth at the
Right.
same time?
Yeah.
Just make sure that paramedics are around because somebody is
course, we don't
inevitably
want
going to
anyone
choke.
choking, right.
Okay. Okay, let's do something else.
But bike decorating contest, right? Or a stroller decorating contest, right? Like there are all these great things that we could do, and we could say, hey, you know, it's $2 to enter, it's $5 to enter, and you can also ride in the parade, right?
Next year's fundraiser.
But we have, you know, if we have the judging station at that point, right? Then while we're in the parade, they can pause for a moment, get judged, and then they can find out at the end who won.
There you
right?
go.
Like, so we can start to kind of create these moments around the parade.
Kind of like Macy's, they go when they like perform and then they
yeah. You know, so there are these opportunities, and again, these don't have to be the exact things that we do, right? But when we have more folks volunteering, right, we can get together, we can have these conversations, and we can say, oh my gosh, you're willing to run the bike decorating contest? Awesome, that's going to be your thing,
that's
right?
Your job.
And you have the full support of the committee, and you know, we are here, and we're going to touch base, and we're going to build a plan, and have a project management, the whole 9 yards, right? But that's going to be your thing, just like the fundraising's over here, and the, you know, like everyone kind of heads a thing, and again, that's how I think volunteerism moving forward is going to succeed, right? Is that sure, I'm a part of this big committee, but I do this one piece, right? And that's my piece, right? But you know, I think when you start to add these pieces, right? The same as when you're in the parade, right? People you know stick around, right? Oh my gosh, so and so is going to be in this pie eating contest on the 4th of July. We have to go.
Yeah.
We have to go see just what happens, let alone if they win or not. Right? Or, hey, you know, I'm decorating the baby stroller. You should do it with me, right? Oh my gosh, did you hear they're decorating the grandbaby stroller? We should go to the parade, right? Or we should go and help. Or we should walk with. Whatever it is, right? Just to build back that community, right? I have a tickle in my throat, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness!
All these other opportunities.
And well, that's the thing, right? Is that like when you take a step back?
I don't want you, you know, choking on the set. That would just not do well for ratings.
Bring the paramedics just in case.
My first aid CPR is up to date, but I don't want to have to use it.
Well, hey, you know, when you have to, you have to.
I know.
But again, you know, it's that kind of notion of, you know, building back the community
and use your imagination too.
Exactly
like
right. Yeah, it's because it's the little things, right? You know, who knows? You know, I think, you know, one thing that's kind of been lost, and I love to see, you know, your float because it's a true float, right?
It's floating.
I think right now we can, you know, folks, again, because folks are so busy. Right, it's, well, I can walk in the parade, or we can drive in the parade, and we'll do a thing on the car, right? And it's simple, and that's fine. We love it. Bring it on, right? But I think
finding somebody who owns a trailer that you can build into a float, that's a little more complicated.
Exactly. I think there's a trick to it, right? But you know, I think back to, you know, neighborhood floats, you know, or even you know, you think back to the bicentennial. Right, parade that we did in '99, you know, where
that was before my time.
each elementary school did a float, right? Yeah. And we weren't on the float, but when the float went by, you saw the piece that you worked on.
Okay.
You know, like little things like that, right?
That'd be cool.
And I think like that, like when we say, hey, we want, you know, the elementary schools to help out, or we want to talk to the high school marching band, we want to talk to so and so. It's those kinds of moments. You know, and so it's really about, you know, looking across the spectrum of things that we can be doing, finding little things to improve on, and next thing you know, those 10 little things, those 20 little things suddenly make the parade that much bigger, right? And that, I think, is how achievable.
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
That's right, right? And that's achievable, sustainable growth, right? And not like balloon growth, right? I could easily go out and try and pay for a bunch of performers, right? We'll go and ask town meeting for the money. We'll go and pay these folks. Parade gets bigger, right? Right. And now my budget's bigger, and every year that budget's going to go up, because people need to get paid a little bit more, right? So that's not sustainable, right? It's also not community driven.
Got it.
So when we think about trying to build a parade that's community driven, right, how can we achieve that? And it really is about going back and seeing how things had been done, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and just taking a page out of the playbook.
Or seeing it, like you mentioned before, seeing it at another parade.
Right.
It's like, hey, they do that over here, but sponsorships.
Yes.
First of all, is it too late to sponsor?
It's never too late.
How would someone sponsor? And what types of recognition do they get as a sponsor?
So it is never too late to sponsor. It is never too late to donate. We wind up doing mostly deposits for folks who are in the parade, and then settling up after the parade.
Okay.
And again, don't think of it as, my sponsorship or my donation is for this year's parade, right? Okay. Your sponsorship or your donation goes into the parade, right? And those dollars will always go back into the parade. Is it this parade? Is it next parade?
Who knows?
Quite frankly, it shouldn't matter. Right. It's going back into the parade. We promise you that. Folks can sponsor by going to the website, and they can click a sponsorship button and get the sponsorship form. We have a couple different tiers of sponsorship. They're colored ribbons based off of the 4th of July, so you red, white, and blues.
Okay.
Different tiers net you a couple different things. But overall, folks get recognition on the website. We have a big check that we typically go out and do the big check thing. Very Ed McMahon-esque.
Great PR for that sponsor.
Because everyone loves hold the big check. It is just, I don't know why, but it's fun. So we have that. We do a lot of social media engagement around, folks. Like if you go on right now, a lot of our blue ribbon folks who've recently sponsored are getting that recognition on our Facebook page. They depending on where they rank, they get their logo on a huge banner.
Okay.
At a different size. Banner? That banner is on one of 2 trailers that gets pulled in the parade.
Okay.
And again, as we grow, we can do more.
T-shirts.
Right, exactly.
With all the sponsors on the back, kind of like, walkathons and stuff.
Absolutely. That is very well within the realm of possibility. But again, that is incumbent upon dollars and volunteers. So we do what we can that makes sense, while making sure that folks feel well represented. Because we have so many sponsors who come back every year. Right, and then this year we have a whole bunch of new sponsors who are getting involved, and truly we can't thank folks enough. Whether they're in the parade or they're sponsoring or they're donating, every little bit. Like I'm saying, this is the theme of my talk track tonight. Every little bit helps. There's nothing truer than that to me when it comes to this parade. Every little bit helps. And so, folks sponsor, and, we try to make as big of a stink about it as possible, because we love, when folks are able to help support the parade, and that money all gets put away into our account, and, used to pay off all of our growing debt.
Got to make sure that, you pay the Shriners, or else they're going to chase you down in the little.
I tell you, I do not want those crazy cars coming after me. I can tell you right now.
When is the cutoff date for someone to actually participate in the parade?
So I would say,
because you got to we
have to get the line
cards.
Yeah. I would say that around this time, right? So we're saying 2 to 3 weeks before the parade is when we really start to close the doors.
Oh my gosh, it's already 2 to 3 weeks. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we are knocking on the door of the 4th.
Oh.
And that's the cutoff so that we can make the banners, make the the lineup, all that stuff, right? Get the word out so that folks are aware of who's in the parade when. All that stuff, right? Every once in a while, someone might, sneak in the last minute. We'll make a quick adjustment.
Okay.
And we tell them up front. We're like, look, the lineup.
Your name's not going to be in the program.
As the lineup is on the website, your name might not be in it.
Okay.
Right.
Is there still going to be a printed lineup?
We haven't done a printed lineup in
Many years.
I was gonna say I think we stopped doing them during the pandemic.
Okay.
And haven't picked it back up.
I'm like, I remember getting like.
I know. Yeah,
because
we
you
used
had
to do
like
it.
the sections.
Correct.
And like each section was named.
Correct.
And are we still naming the sections?
Again, we haven't since the pandemic.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Again, you know, the committee was bigger before the pandemic.
Okay.
And we had those hands, and you have the people to help out. You know, more can happen. I think again, as we grow back,
okay.
You know, a handful of printed, flyers wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But again, I would love to see, you know, if we could get some kids, you know, high school age kids with donation buckets taking up, you know, collections on the side of the parade with our Venmo on the outside and a bucket for anyone who actually has cash on them. Right, because most folks are using digital
QR codes.
Yeah, exactly. just a quick little, you know, Venmo snap with a QR code, and you're off to the races. That's totally fine with us. You know, but some folks will carry cash. You know, and we're happy to take that as well. You know, currency is currency.
Exactly.
You know, but to have that happening during the parade, and they'll be passing out.
Although I'm not sure that would like come across as being too commercialized. I don't know.
I would say that, you know, in the vein of my talk track of every little bit, you know, counts.
Yeah.
You know, that if there's ever a time to be donating to the parade, it's while you're watching the parade.
Okay, fair enough.
And that may be the Catholic in me. You know, while you're at church, the collection bin comes across at you. You know, so.
All right, we are, okay, one real more quick question.
Yeah, I'll try to answer quickly.
Okay, because we only have like a minute left. Pre-pandemic,
yes,
I think, maybe, I don't think it's been post. We had a marshal, a parade marshal, and an outstanding citizen.
Yes.
Are either of those coming back? And both? Or what's the difference between the two?
Great question. They never went away.
Okay, shows how much I'm paid. I'm almost at the end of the parade. I don't get to see them.
They've always been with us. The Grand Marshal and the Outstanding Citizen. The Outstanding Citizen we have adopted into the Don Flaherty Award for most Outstanding Citizen.
Okay.
And that is given to somebody in the community who has given of themselves tenfold.
Okay.
And, you know, to be quite frank, it's always hard to beat out Don Flaherty in my mind as somebody who, you know, was truly, you know, giving of himself at all times. But we have so many people in the community who are just like that, who give. And I'll tell you this, we've approached so many people who say thank you, but no, I don't need the recognition. and like, if that doesn't tell you the character of this community and the character of the people in it, right, nothing else will. Is that we are full, we are brimming with people who are endlessly devoted to their community, who don't want to be recognized, right? Okay. So it's kind of hard to throw someone on that call. I'm going to kidnap somebody one of these days.
Okay, real quick, because we are out of time.
Sorry.
But who's the Grand Marshal?
Our Grand Marshal is a veteran this year.
Okay. Do they have to be a veteran?
The Grand Marshal is always somebody who has served or is currently serving.
A military.
And that's the difference between the two.
Ah, okay.
And now I've wasted all your time.
You haven't wasted it. You've gotten me really psyched, and also kind of panic-stricken that, you know, 4th of July parade is like 3 weeks away.
Right.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your coming. I appreciate your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your planning on doing the anti-rain dance.
Yes.
So it's, you know, hey, we have some BCAT sunglasses. Maybe that'll help.
I like that idea.
All right. And I also want to thank everyone at home for tuning in. I'm glad you tuned in for tonight. I hope you are enthusiastic about the parade, and I really hope to see you along the parade route, because the show will be coming almost live on the parade. So have a wonderful evening, and I will see you around town. Good night.